Red cards are not just leg breaking tackles anymore. In the modern game, the definition of excessive force and brutality has shifted more towards player safety and away from those leg breaking tackles of the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, etc. Today, I want to look at a clip that's going to result in a send off that the original poster was asking if it was harsh or if it was unjustified or anything of the nature. And I think it's because it was just simply the manner of the challenge or the brutality that got it there. Now, obviously, today there's loads of ways to get sent off. A lot of denying the goal scoring opportunity, offensive, insulting, abusive language, all of that kind of stuff. Those aren't really what I'm interested in talking about. What I'm interested in talking about is going to be around serious foul play and violent conduct. The two more subjective red card challenges that can happen because let's face it, send offs, red cards, are incredibly influential on the game. You're dealing with a scenario where you're deciding that a tackle or a challenge is now worth that team playing that person down for the rest of the match. It's a critical decision to make. We have to know the considerations inside and out. We have to be able to be in the position to accurately assess the facts of the sequence and apply those considerations so that when it comes time, we're dealing with something that we know for fact is going to be the correct decision and have a huge impact on the game. So I want first to look at serious foul play, what the laws say it is, and violent conduct, again, what the laws say it is, and then look at some specific terms within the laws of the game so that it helps us start to understand the consideration. And at the end, that clip that I just mentioned, I want to look at it together and I want to understand what you guys think of it because I think it really does rise to a send off, even though it may not look like it at first. So let's begin with the laws. So, as I said before, you're dealing with serious foul play right here, and we are dealing with violent conduct. Those two right there. Those are the two that are very, very similar in many ways. However, there's going to be a key distinction, and we're going to read it now. So, serious foul play is a tackle or challenge that endangers the safety of an opponent or uses excessive force or brutality it must be sanctioned as serious foul play. Any player who's lunging at an opponent, challenging from the front, the side, or from behind using one or both legs with excessive force or endangering the safety of the opponent is guilty of serious foul play. Pretty clear. Almost. There's a couple words in there and terms in there that I want to make sure that we all understand and that we all know so that we can understand and interpret them correctly. Violent conduct. This one's going to be similar. It's going to use a couple of the similar words and terms, but it's going to be a little bit more broad, right? Violent conduct is when a player uses or attempts to use excessive force or brutality against an opponent when not challenging for the ball, or against a teammate, team official, match official, spectator, or any other person, regardless of whether contact is made. This next part's interesting as well. In addition, a player who, when not challenging for the ball, deliberately strikes an opponent or any other person on the head or face with the hand or arm is guilty of violent conduct unless the force used was negligible. Okay, so there's some important terminology in there. And I want to look at the glossary of the laws of the game because I think that's really where these definitions are sort of developed with the game in mind and with how it's played in mind, right? So the glossary, brutality. You could go to a regular dictionary and have a feeling you're going to get something pretty close here, but an act which is savage, ruthless, or deliberately violent. Okay. And then we're going to go to E. We're going to look at endanger the safety of an opponent. This one's obvious. Put an opponent at danger or risk of injury. Excessive force, using more force / energy than is necessary. Okay. So what does this all mean, right? So serious foul play, we're challenging for the ball, and we are using excessive force or brutality, and it's sanctioned as serious foul play. When you look at the secondary part, lunging from the front, the side, behind, one or both legs, and again, bringing in excessive force or endangering the safety of the opponent, you're guilty of serious foul play. So it gives a little bit more of a specificity there. Now, for violent conduct, it is any contact that is uses or attempts to use, meaning you just have to try to do this. And now we're talking something completely different, right? So for violent conduct, you're not challenging for the ball. You are using or attempting to use excessive force or brutality, which, remember that definition of brutality: savage, deliberately violent. Okay? What was the other term? I usually have these. Ruthless. There we go. Savage, ruthless, deliberately violent, right? Against an opponent not challenging the ball. Now, this is interesting because serious foul play is only ever against an opponent. Violent conduct is with anybody, a teammate, team official, match official, spectator, anybody. And it puts in that specific caveat whether or not contact is made. It does not matter, regardless of whether contact is made. Meaning, you throw a punch, you aim a kick with excessive force, you're now dealing with something that is going to be classed as violent conduct. In addition, a player not challenging for the ball, deliberately striking. Now, deliberately strike any other person on the head or face with the hand or arm, right? So it gets very specific here. Deliberate strike, hand or arm, contacting the head, the face, right? You are now guilty of violent conduct unless the force used was negligible. Okay. So with those two definitions in mind, I want to watch this next clip, and I'll break it down a little bit more for you, and just to kind of give you what I'm seeing. You don't have to agree or not, but this is just what I'm seeing. And applying these two, right? Now, I'm going to give you a huge hint. You're not looking at you're not really going to be looking at serious foul play that much. You are going to be looking at violent conduct. So let's have a look at this, and I want to run through it so that you can understand where this comes from. And again, force is going to be a very, very, very small factor in this. Let's have a watch. Okay. So it happens very quickly. I'm going to let it loop through here, and I might try and pause it at the right spots, right? 22 tackles the ball. It's a 50-50. He gets to it. You have the opponent sliding in. Now he's sliding with the laces. So his foot, if this was the top of his foot, this is, this side's the cleat. He's kind of swiping through, right? And for me, some people have said he's going in studs. I don't see studs in any way, shape, or form. There's no studs. I don't have any offense by the person committing the slide tackle here, in the blue jersey. So now we see this. So this is now the player who was tackled is now leaping over, but that leg is really low, and it looks like it's making contact with the head, the neck, the back area, right? Watching it in full right? So he's jumping, he's trying to lift it up. You can see his both legs are up here. And then he's looking down and he's sort of bringing that foot down, studs down right on the head, the neck, the back area. It looks between those three areas, right? So now, going back, are we challenging for the ball? No, we're not. Are we making deliberate contact? Okay. Looks deliberate to me, but again, you read it as you will. The area of the contact, head, neck, high back area, okay? Mode of contact, studs, okay? Force of the contact. I don't think we reach that bar for excessive force here. We just don't. And it becomes a different consideration, a different factor now. So, like I opened with, red cards are not just about leg breaking tackles anymore. They're about the manner of the challenge too, right? And even though this looks like a glancing blow to the back of the head, we still have to look at this and understand that this is a pretty savage contact. He's up, he has that leg up, and then he's bringing it back down right onto the player. That is, now I'm going to use a different term, but that's not negligible force. But is it excessive force? Is there a gray area between the two? And I think if there is one, this is it. But this is where I think when we go back to violent conduct and we look at this again, violent conduct is when a player uses or attempts to use excessive force or brutality, meaning one or the other. It doesn't need to be both here. And that's where I think this is going to be the key difference. I don't know if excessive force is here, but I do know that brutality is here. It is there. There is no question in my mind that this is, to be jumping over and then to bring that foot down mid-jump on top of the back of the player. You're dealing with something that is savage, ruthless, and deliberately violent in many ways, right? This is the very definition of brutality, in my opinion. Now, if this is your game and you are watching this, what's your call here? Knowing that you're going to change the game, knowing that if you deem this to be a send-off, you're dealing with something that is going to put this team a man down for the rest of this match, and you need to be 100% certain on it, right? Now, we're here, we see it, we're able to review this. It's already looped like 10 or 15 times by now. So I want to know what you guys think, because that's going to make all the difference in the world as to how these laws get applied. So drop your comment below. What are the considerations you have for this specific sequence in terms of a potential act of violent conduct where you're now going to be looking at potentially changing the game for this contact? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys like this channel, hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me to get a few more people, a few more eyes on this. And again, I look forward to seeing you guys. Have a good one.